These are 5 real stories from Reddit where people got the ultimate revenge at work. From stolen projects to fake bonuses, these bosses and coworkers had no idea what was coming. Sit back and enjoy.
I worked at a logistics company for 3 years. Never missed a deadline. Never called in sick. My team generated 40% of the company's revenue. One Monday, there was a massive accident on the highway. I walked in 2 minutes late. My boss was standing at the door with HR. He said, "Company policy. 2 minutes is 2 minutes." They handed me a box and escorted me out. No warning, no discussion. 3 years meant nothing. But here's the thing. I had built every client relationship myself. Every single one. Within a week, 7 of our biggest clients called me directly. They didn't want to work with the company. They wanted to work with me. I started my own firm from my kitchen table. Within 3 months, I had taken 60% of his client base. 6 months later, his company filed for bankruptcy. He called me, begging for a job. I told him, sorry, company policy. Sometimes the person they throw away is the one holding everything together.
But that was just the beginning. This next boss thought he could get away with stealing his employees' work. I spent 3 months building a new system for our company. Late nights, weekends, missed my son's birthday. It was the best work I'd ever done. The week before my presentation, my coworker Derek asked to see my slides. Said he wanted to help me rehearse. I trusted him. That was my mistake. Monday morning, I walked into the conference room and Derek was already at the podium, presenting my entire project to the VP, word for word, slide for slide. He got a promotion that afternoon, corner office. I got a pat on the back for being a team player. I went to HR. They said without proof, there was nothing they could do. But he made one mistake. He assumed I didn't keep records. I had every draft saved, every commit time-stamped, every late-night message to my wife about the project, even a selfie at 2 a.m. the night I finished it. I didn't go back to HR. I emailed the CEO directly, attached 6 months of version history and a side-by-side comparison. He hadn't changed a single word. Within a week, there was an internal investigation. Derek couldn't produce a single original file, not one. He was fired on a Friday. Security walked him out. The whole office watched. The following Monday, I was offered his position, corner office and all. That night he messaged me, "You ruined my career." I replied, "No. You ruined it the moment you opened my slides. Always keep receipts." Think that was satisfying? Wait until you hear what this guy did when his wife's lawyer got too confident. My ex-wife hired the most aggressive attorney in town. She told the court I was controlling and abusive. None of it was true, but she cried on the stand and her friends backed her up. The judge gave her the house, both cars, and custody of our dog. I walked out with my clothes and a storage unit. But I knew something she didn't. During our marriage, I had started a side business, an online store under my own LLC. She never paid attention to what I did in the garage. By the time we divorced, it was making $12,000 a month. Her attorney never found it. I kept my head down for 2 years, grew it to $80,000 a month, bought a new house, cash, new car, 2 dogs. Meanwhile, she burned through the settlement in 18 months, sold the house, wrecked 1 car, sold the other. When she found out about my business, she dragged me back to court. My attorney showed the LLC was registered before our separation with my own money. The judge dismissed her case in 15 minutes, ordered her to pay my legal fees. Walking out of court, she said, "You planned this." I said, "No, I just worked harder than you expected." The best revenge is building a better life. Now this one is personal. Imagine getting paid in fake gold coins. I work for a construction company that remodels old homes. We have a simple rule. Anything you find hidden behind the walls, you get to keep. We hired this guy who was a nightmare from day one. He got fired from his last job and landed in construction with zero respect for anyone. He made fun of my clothes, my accent. Then he crossed the line. He went through my phone, found my private Instagram, and showed personal photos to our boss, trying to get me fired. What he didn't know? My boss and I have been friends for 8 years. It didn't work. But I wasn't going to let it go. I heard him bragging one day that if he ever found something valuable, he'd quit immediately. So I spent $40 on fake gold coins online, put them in an old metal box from an antique store, and hid them inside a wall. He found them the next morning. The moment he opened that box, he called our boss a loser, screamed, "I'm rich," and quit on the spot. No 2 weeks notice, nothing. What he didn't know was that my boss was already planning to fire him for being late every single day. I never heard from him again. But I'd give anything to see his face when he found out those coins were worth exactly $40. Best $40 I ever spent. My boss still laughs about it every time we open up a new wall. And finally, the story that proves why you should never mess with an entire team at once. I worked at this company for 7 years. 7 years of perfect attendance. Never called in sick, never complained. I had 3 weeks of vacation saved up and I put in for 2 weeks off, 6 months in advance. My manager approved it, HR approved it, it was done. Then, 3 days before my vacation, my new manager walks in. He says, "I'm gonna need you to cancel your trip. We're short-staffed." I showed him the approval. He shrugged and said, "I didn't approve that. Previous manager did. I don't honor his decisions." I went to HR. They told me to work it out with my manager. So I did. I went back to my desk, typed up my resignation, and handed it to him. He laughed and said, "You'll be back in a week." What he didn't know was that I had been interviewing for months. I already had an offer letter for 30% more pay. I left that Friday. By Monday, 3 of my teammates followed me out the door. They had been waiting for someone to go first. Within a month, the entire department collapsed. My old manager got demoted. Last I heard, they had to hire a consulting firm just to figure out what I used to do. Best vacation I ever took. I never went back. Those were 5 of the wildest workplace revenge stories from Reddit. If you enjoyed this, hit that subscribe button. We post new stories every single day. Drop a comment and tell us which story was your favorite.